Should I press play? My crazy life. Yeah, this is the first time I've had a chance to catch my breath in a couple weeks, probably over a month. We just got home yesterday from camping. So I mean, the entire year up until now, it's been a little busy. But we did the Montreal thing where I worked for 5 days and had a show for 3 days, which is fantastic. And then we came home on the Monday, yes. And so I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, catching up on the week I missed. And then we went camping. so we had a busy, and then so we were camping from Sunday till Thursday. So that's yesterday, and then today's Friday. So I did book today off. I booked the entire week off for camping, just because I wanted to play catch up. And and what happens is that we haven't had a chance at all to catch our breath. And so this is what today is for. So Josh likes building them. Other than that, they seem to end up in that bin. There's something I was planning on throwing out, but $2.50. Anyway, I probably had that when I was a kid. So we got back yesterday, and then we spent some time cleaning up ish. And this is the first time I've been in the leg room since the show. So it is a certified disaster in here, as you can see on the desk, because everything just kind of got thrown over here. And that's fine, not unexpected, because that's what happens at that kind of stuff. So I said I was going to come down here on my day off on a Friday and do some cleaning and some organization. So, and I thought I'd play catch up with you guys because it's been a bit. So it was a very, very busy month. And then school starts on Tuesday. So, and we got home from camping, and then as soon as we got home yesterday, our neighbors asked us if we could take care of their dog this weekend. So we are dog sitting, which is fantastic because you know how much we missed Friday. We missed our dog. So we're dog sitting for the weekend, and then we're invited to at least 2 barbecues this weekend. So it is. It ain't slowing down. I'll do it. I'll make this box, which I save and recycle. I'm just trying to clear off the space here. It is messy. So I'm gonna put these. Thanks, Jeffy, for getting for me. They're not modified plates, but that's where I'm gonna dump them. They're light belay, so in the end, light belay. So what else is new? So I didn't wear my wonderful new t-shirt that my friend Dave gave me. I probably should have, because I got, and again, I'm going to stop. I'm honestly going to stop because it just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And I think I just piss people off. People who are contrary to this point, and I really do respect my friend Dave St. Cyre's point on this with the OCD and autistic scale, but this is not that. This is, no matter what post I come across, literally no matter what post I come across that has anything to do with this hobby, and somebody's all excited about displaying something or saying something or posting something about this hobby that they are partaking in it. Anybody, like you stumble across literally any thread on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever you come across somebody else is posting excitement, either, it doesn't matter the age of the person either. Doesn't matter. So because I follow a lot of people, and because of the computer says, oh, you like posts about Lego, we're gonna keep on showing you posts about Lego. And so I happen to see a lot of stuff from all over the world where people are excited about displaying, and it doesn't matter if there's 8 or 80. It doesn't matter. They will post and they'll say, oh, look what I built out of my Legos. 80% of them say that, by the way. They don't say Lego. They don't say, they're enthusiastic. They're literally enthusiastic about their build or what they're doing or what they built or whatever it is. They're excited about this hobby that you can see that I partake in. And they say, oh, look what I did. Look what I did here with my Legos. And invariably in the comment section, like literally every single one I come across when somebody says Legos, there's somebody in the comments, because I'll check the comments. Now I actually go out of my way to check, because before I didn't care. But now I go out of my way to check the comments now when somebody posts their enthusiasm about this hobby and they say Legos. Every single time, there's at least one, more than one usually, but there's at least one person says, it's not Legos, it's Lego. Go screw yourself. Like, seriously. And that's all they say. There was never, oh, that was a great build, or I'm glad you're so excited, or oh, thanks, you're partaking in this hobby fantastically well. Their very first and only words are, it's Lego, not Legos, or derivatives thereof. And I go, and this person had all that enthusiasm, whatever they built, again, between the ages of 8 and 80, doesn't matter. And the only response from those toxic gatekeepers is, it's Lego, not Legos. Well, again, I have documentation over there that says you're wrong. You are wrong for just saying it's Lego. It's Lego bricks. It's a modifier. It's not a noun. I don't know why this bothers me so much. Maybe I'm OCD. Maybe I'm a little bit on the spectrum for this. But it's injustice. And my parents told me when I was a little kid that I've always had a overactive sense of justice for a lot of stuff. I even if it's not even pertaining to me, I hate when I see injustice. My parents told me that even when I was a kid, when some kid gets wronged on the playground, I'm like, ooh, my back gets up. It's something I've had to live with my entire life. And so I don't want to diminish or excuse or get past this at all, but I'm at the point where it's just like the sun coming up in the morning. It's gonna come up in the morning. The second somebody says Legos, there's gonna be some jackass out there that says, no, it's not Lego, it's just Lego, and they're gonna do it. They're just gonna do it. And I'm thinking, you guys you're diminishing the hobby. From my perspective, you are diminishing the hobby because you're diminishing the person who made the post. You're literally the person that gets excited. You can just tell the enthusiasm of their post. Look what I built. Look what I made. Look what I'm going to do. Look at the process I'm doing. Whatever it is. And they say Legos. Now, again, 90%, like, I don't know the numbers. But there's a lot of people out there that are not hardcore fans. I don't like to consider myself hardcore, but there's like literally no denying I'm a hardcore fan. I'm not the hardest of cores fan, but it's hard for me to justify that I'm not a hardcore fan. Because I am. I've always loved my Legos. I have always literally since my earliest memories loved Legos. And again, so there's a quick tangent, and we might come back to this. So we were camping because we just got back from camping. We went to Turkey Point, fantastic provincial park. Not the best, not the worst. I liked it, and it's close to home. It's like an hour. It's just, and you don't have to take any highways to get there, which I'm appreciating more and more every day in my life. By the way, not taking highway somewhere. So we went out to Turkey Point, took all the back roads. It was God's country, as we used to say. It was absolutely gorgeous country, and it was like you basically go right down Highway 6 and you make a right. Keep going. Go down Highway 6 from Hamilton and you make a right past the Grand River. And then you're gonna hit Turkey Point at some point. It's on Lake Erie. It's right before Long Point, by the way. And Long Point, I've been to Long Point, not camp, but because it's a beautiful nature preserve, all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of nature preserves all around Turkey Point. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And Turkey Point itself, a little town, just beautiful. So we were, this is the tangent. we were driving along, and Sandy wanted to go into town. So we went into town and we had some ice cream. We walked along the beach. It was beautiful. And then she wanted to explore the town. Now the town is really tiny. Like 50% of the town is marina. Like it's just like so it's like a lot of boats. Like there's no industry in Turkey Point at all. It's all cottages and it's all marina and it's all boats and it's all whatever. And beautiful little quaint cottages, and sometimes in the past 15-20 years people buy the lots and build big monstrosities. But it's fine. It was a wonderful little spot to be. And so saying they were driving through town, there's only one main line through town, and then they have little side streets that are mostly dead ends. And we're driving, and all of a sudden I saw my last name on a building. I'm going, why is my last name on a building out here? It turns out my cousin Ricky bought a place out there. And I mentioned my cousin Ricky before on this channel. My cousin Ricky is passionate about his truck that he inherited from his dad. His dad's not even dead yet, my Uncle Pete. But Ricky, his dad gave him the truck when dad bought a new truck. It was a 67, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's a vehicle. It's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel and an engine. And he's been working on it since he was like 18 years old. And now he's at the point he's retired now. He's like 9 years older than me. And he goes across North America to car shows with this truck, and people gawk and asking questions and whatever. He's been working on this truck since 1970, whatever. And it shows. The passion shows. The exuding of his passion about his vehicle and the effort that he put into it shows. And it shows to other people who witness his truck and know what the stuff is. I know it because I watched him do it for the most part when I was young growing up. But people who look at that truck and say they know the effort that went into making the truck look like it does now, as opposed to look like it back in 1975, and they appreciate the effort. And they talked about the effort, and I look at it and I couldn't tell you a spanner from a whatever. So I've never used a torque wrench in my life. Actually, probably Grade 9 Auto Shop, but but that's like a million years ago. I was never one of these the grease monkey. I never wanted to be that guy. I took my auto shop because as part of the SAM course, sheet metal auto shop and machine shop. And I liked machine shop. I adored machine shop. I was thinking I was going to be a machinist before computers came along. See, I'm that old that computers were not in my high school yet when I was taking my tech courses. I was either going to go into drafting, which I adored because of Mr. Shanks, or I was going to go into machine shop. And become like a millwright or a machinist, whatever. But then computer shop, I was in grade 10, and that was that. But anyway, I love my machine shop. But in order to have grade 9 machine shop, you had to take sheet metal, and automotive, and machine shop. And again, the weakest one of that was automotive. Now, again, I liked the teachers. I liked all my teachers that I've ever had. Appreciate them all. But I don't care. I never wanted to fix cars. I had never had that passion to fix cars at all. I have fixed cars. I replaced my alternator in my 1986 Honda Prelude because the alternator was gone, and I could just go to the wreckers and buy an alternator and replace 3 bolts and put it back on my car. Like it's not unknown to me what's under the hood. I know what an alternator looks like back in the day. Now I look at my engine of my Caravan. I said, there's no way I'm even sticking my hand in there. But my Prelude, there is all the space, a little 2.2 on the whatever. And I know the numbers. And yeah, the tranny and all that stuff. So I replaced an alternator in my Honda once. I replaced headlights in my Honda. I'm trying to think about the most exciting thing I ever did. I did not replace the rad. I got a stone in my radiator years ago, and it started leaking, and I had to go replace it. So I went to the wreckers and I bought a radiator off the. So this is a story. Again, more tangent. Before I get back to my friend Rick, before I get to everything else, I had the Honda apart one time, like completely apart. My mechanic. I had to do some body work on it. Like the dashboard's out of it. Like it was just the metal frame, the unibody left in my car. I had to remove the entire interior, the carpets. I didn't take the ceiling off because that's all glued, but everything else was out of the car. The door panels were still on because I wasn't worried about the doors. It was the actual body frame. And so I was doing some extensive body work on it. And so I removed all the seats, all the whatever, the consoles, blah, blah, blah. And I had the whole thing apart, strewn across my dad's driveway. And I did the bodywork and I put it all back together. My mechanic came over. Actually, no, my mechanic didn't come over. I had to drive the car over to my mechanic. So the entire interior is gone. It is literally gone. There's no dashboard. I replaced the steering wheel. I put the car seat in with the seatbelt, which didn't come out. And I drove it over to the mechanics for him to do something to it. I can't remember what he had to do to it in order to fix it up, but I was doing all the body work. And then he looked at it and he says, "There's nothing inside this car." And then he fixed it. I brought it back and I put everything back together, and it worked. and I said, honestly, besides, nuts and bolts, it's the electronics, and cars always come with those clippy things, and they're all different sizes, so you can't plug them in wrong overall. So I found that to be the easiest thing in the world to do. And my mechanic told me straight up, he says, "I could never do what you just did," which was remove the entire interior of a car and then put it back in the car. He says he couldn't do that. He does one section at a time and whatever. I had the entire interior removed. I remember that to this day. So that's what I did. But that was just so I could get at the steel to do all the body work, because it was my 86 Prelude was rusting, and I was fixing it up and patching it up and blah, blah, blah. I wanted it to last longer, so I put some effort into it. I put new floorboards down with my pop rivet gun and gooped it all with tar and whatever, and repainted it, and then put the carpet back down so it looked mint again. But that's something that my friend Ricky, my cousin Ricky, would do with his truck. But he removed the interior. He rebuilt the thing from scratch. He would order heads and gaskets from all over the world, and he basically rebuilt that truck from scratch, from bottom up. And he does car shows, so that's his passion. And I've known about his passion since I was a little kid, and we would go over there for Sunday after church, or for holidays, or for whatever, just stop by, see Uncle Pete and the family, and Ricky would be working in the truck. That was his passion, right? And then I got to see it, the same truck, and I haven't seen it in a long. I've seen his pictures because he posts on Facebook and whatever. I've seen his pictures, and I'm over in California, I'm over here, I'm doing wherever he's going in the world. He goes to car shows, and he shows off the truck, and people like it, and they talk to him about it and blah blah. And so I got to see it for the first time live in about 20, 30 years, more than that. I get the general idea of how much effort the truck to get it to look like this, but I don't know the specifics. But we talked about it. And I mentioned when I was 9 years old helping him out. And he said, "Oh, I remember that." And then we were talking about Turkey Point and all that, blah, blah. And so people have their passions. But can you imagine me telling Ricky, you can't call it your Chevy, you have to call it whatever. You're saying it wrong. To him, literally to him. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's his passion. This is, again, I've mentioned this numerous times. I really appreciate other people's appreciation of what they appreciate. I don't know why. I really, really appreciate other people's appreciation of what they appreciate. I've talked to doctors, I've talked to lawyers, I've talked to CEOs of major corporations, and whatever they're passionate about, I'll sit there and I'll listen, and I try to contribute. Maybe most of it's over my head, whatever. But I can listen. I'm not the stupidest guy in the world, and I can I talk to Ricky about the truck, and I don't know anything about compression rates and whatever, but I was there, and I know something, and we had a great conversation for 2 hours. I was over there talking about family and everything else. But yeah, his passions. He built his cottage, he built his house, and he's showing me everything he's done. And I said, "Oh my God, Ricky, this is beautiful." And I talked about what I know about like codes and whatever. It was a floating pad and whatever, and then you heated it and whatever. And I'm seeing, because I can pick that kind of stuff out, the easy stuff, and I'm admiring the joinery that he's done for his circular staircase going up the stairs and everything. And I said, I don't have that passion myself. I don't have that passion at all. I mean, I love building. I love the rentals that Sandy and I've done over the years to this place, and we have to do more. But I don't go out of my way for it. I don't want. I mean, it's not my passion to do, but I don't mind doing it. I actually like it when it has to be done. But when I'm sitting on a couch, I don't think, "Oh, I'm gonna go build this. I'm gonna come down here." if this is where my passion is, and so I love other people's passion. And I had a wonderful visit with my cousin Rick. which again, I haven't seen since Christmas parties a few years back. And my Uncle Pete was there. His dad, he had his dad over for the weekend. So that was great. So I got to see my Uncle Pete and Rick at the same time. We all played catch up and whatever. And it was family, first of all. And I mentioned this numerous times. I adore my family. And it's just unquestionably awesome to be in this family. And Rick and I both said the same thing when we were saying goodbye, that this family was a fantastic family to grow up in, because we had the basis, we had the foundational whatever to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it, and we'd always have support of our family. With all the many faults of everybody's family, like our family has huge faults. I'm one of them. Our family has huge faults, but to know that if you got into anything, your family's going to be there. Like I could call if I was doing something structural. Like I was replacing the load-bearing wall in this house. Now again, I know what load-bearing walls are, and I know how to find them because I've done construction. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not remotely good at it, but I know what the stuff is. I did all the electrical in this house. Well, not all of it. The original stuff that is still here is still here, but what I could remove because it was aluminum wiring, I removed it. so I did all that myself. I have enough knowledge to do stuff to get myself into trouble, but I had to take out a load-bearing wall, and I call up my dad. I said, "Hey, Pops, I have to take out a load-bearing wall. My brother John, my Uncle John, his brother John, will come over and he'll do it for you." Perfect. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to call a contractor. I don't have to whatever. I have a whole family full of wonderful people who do wonderful things and are very passionate about doing it right and blah, blah, blah. That's the family I grew up in. And they were lovely, lovely people. Every single one of them. We all had our issues. The family always does. But in the end, there's never once in my entire life was I left hanging. My Uncle Bill replaced all the doors and windows in this place. And my dad came over and helped with the plumbing because we had to move some plumbing when we moved the kitchen. And my Uncle John at his head took out the old wall, put the new wall in, the load-bearing wall, the load-bearing truss. And he knew what I had to get. And I called up the lumber company over there, and I said, this is a span, and they said exactly what my Uncle John told me to get. So this is the easy, like I have the utmost understanding that my family knows what they're talking about and this stuff. So, but their passion exudes from their pores. That's my family is very passionate about their stuff, and I grew up in this environment where their passion, I appreciated it. And my Uncle John passed away sadly 3 years ago. He was 87, 88. He was pretty old. So this is again, I mentioned the community that we grew up in. Again, more tangents, and this is going to make me a little misty. The Winona Park, which is where we lived growing up, my granddad, my opa, settled the family in Winona back in 1948, and all the kids grew up in Winona, and all us kids, their kids, my cousins grew up in Winona. My Uncle John was in the fire department as soon as he could join the volunteer fire department. He was part of the men's club. He was part of all the different organizations in town, and he was in scouts for a long time, and blah blah blah. Anyway, so the long story long. There was the Boy Scouts in Winona did some research because they wanted to do something for the community, and I didn't know this until last week, by the way. So there's in the Winona Park, there's the Scout Hut that we all knew as the Scout Hut because that's where we used to have our Cub meetings and Scout meetings and all the other meetings. My Uncle John, my dad, and my opa, my granddad, built that back in the early 60s or whenever it was. They built it. The community says we're going to build this building, and my Uncle John's there, not just a volunteer, just moving dirt around and my Uncle John actually physically built that building with my dad and my opa. My dad did the blocks because my dad's a bricklayer. My dad did the foundation of the building, and Uncle John did all the because he was a framer and the roofer and all that stuff. So my Uncle John, my granddad, and my dad and other people who volunteered built that building. But instrumental was my dad and my opa and my Uncle John, and so this scout troop, the Winona Scout Troop, was looking to do something, and they kept on doing research of the Winona community, and my Uncle John's name kept on showing up. like for everything, for the men's club, for the scouts, for the curling, for the whatevers, the fire hall. He was like there for, he was chief for a while, as captain or whatever. Worked his way up. So, and he was, until he couldn't do it anymore, he was always volunteering for whatever. And if you needed some help down the street, he would show up for that. And so my Uncle John's name kept on appearing. So they decided, it took a year, but they decided to rename this. I think, I'm just thinking about it. They decided to rename the Scout Hut to the John Cowday Scout Hut. My parents won the Citizenship of the Year Award back in 1983 together. The city of Stony Creek gave my parents the honorific of being Citizenship of the Year Award. This is the family I grew up in. Very, very civically oriented. You help out your neighbor. They weren't doing it to get the awards. They weren't getting it to name a building after. They never did anything. Look at me. They were never ever like that. But people noticed. People clearly noticed. And it was like, wow. Like, and so I'm there on Sunday when they did the dedication. It was like the Peace Festival last weekend. So Sunday morning, they took a time out to do this for my Uncle John. And so my cousins were there. Because like it's Uncle John and my Uncle Pete was there, which was nice. Of course, my dad was there. I was there. My brother Brian was there. My cousins, all Uncle John's kids were there, and some other cousins were there. There was like 12 of my cousins there. It was fantastic because I grew up with my cousins. Like seriously, because Uncle John lived right next door to us when we were kids, and Uncle Bill lived down the street, and Uncle Pete was over in Grimsby, which is a hop, skip, and a jump, and Uncle George was across the tracks, Aunt Nellie was across the tracks. And Uncle Bud was in it. Like everybody lived in the community. And so when we were kids, we'd always daily and weekly, our friends were our cousins, and we would just play tag and hide and seek and build forts and fly kites and whatever. My Uncle John, now we're talking about it 27 minutes into this. I couldn't have been more than 12 because when we moved, but before 12, we had a big field behind our house. That I used to fly kites in all the time. And my mom and dad bought me that I Spy Delta Wing kite. If you're my age, you know what the I Spy kite looks like. It's a stupid little kite now, but it was I loved kites back then. And then so I had my I Spy kite on the string, and it was a pretty gusty day, and I'm flying it and whatever, and all of a sudden the string broke. And that's way up there. And so I see it fluttering for like 10 minutes. And it went way past the Winona Road Bridge, which I was not allowed to go past growing up at 8 or 9 years old. I couldn't go. That was the limit of the 5 acres of land behind our house to the bridge was it. So I couldn't go past that. Little did I know Uncle John's watching me from his window, keeping an eye on me, making sure I'm not getting whatever hurt. And then he sees my kite break, and I didn't know this. I go crying, and now I don't know if I was crying, but my kite's gone. Half an hour later, there's a knock on the door. My Uncle John has my kite. He went looking for it. No, again, it was way out there. It was like by 50 road by now. I mean, I'm over here on west of Winona Road. This is by 50 road, and it's in a field. He had to go trouncing through the field, and he found it. That's who my family is. This is the environment I grew up in. I never literally had to worry about anything growing up. No, I had angst as a kid like all kids have, and I hate my parents as all kids have, and I can't stand things as all kids do. But literally in the back of my head, there was nothing that I had to worry about. There's no, like if I was walking home and I broke my ankle or whatever, I wiped on my mic. So my friend Steve and I, we're going to Cubs, and he's sitting in my handlebars, and we're coming down the road to get to Barn Street, and he accidentally stuck his foot in my spokes, and we went ass over tea kettle, and I had gashes, like deep rents in my kneecap from the gravel sticking into my knee and whatever. Like the neighbors, oh, Dave, you're hurt, I'll take care of you. Because I knew everybody that lived along Winona Road. I knew everybody who lived. I couldn't, if I did something stupid, which again I would do, that stupidity got home before I did. Oh, I saw your kid playing in a ditch. I saw your kid, whatever. My mom knew before I got to the house. Now, whether or not that's good or bad, I don't know. But I will say this. To this day, I have a huge mental block when it comes to doing something wrong. I can't do it. Uh, as simple as putting away the shopping cart, and then you look up the shopping cart dilemma for morality. I can't just leave my shopping cart on the parking lot or by the front door. Just leave it. It bothers me. There's a visceral response in me if I can't even think about it. Just leaving the shopping cart there, not the shopping cart corral. It bothers me so much. Other people can do it. Like I don't care that other people do. They just leave the shopping cart out behind their car or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But me, I cannot. I have to take the shopping cart back to the corral or back into the store with the other shopping cart. I cannot leave it. And that could be potentially because I couldn't do like hopping, jumping ditches and rolling on the mud like I used to as a 5-6-year-old having a great time. That I got back to my mom before I got home. Dave was jaywalking. Dave was walking on the center road. Dave was doing whatever. And I got home before I did. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I have such a tough time working against society. Like any thought that's against society, I have a tough time with. Because I grew up in a very, very socially and civically aware family, as I keep on mentioning. And that meant something back in the day, that you do not talk back to your elders. No, again, no, that's nuanced for me, because I'll talk back to anybody who's stupid and doing something stupid. But respectfully, and I do not trash people. I do not talk ill of people because that's just the wrong thing to do. But I will talk about the stuff that they are doing and why it's wrong, which brings us right back to the beginning of this conversation from 31 minutes ago. People have their passions. And if they say something that you don't like, but it really has nothing to do with anything. I want to be very nuanced about, well, as nuanced as it possibly can be. If somebody builds something out of K'NEX and says, look, I built something out of my Legos, that's wrong. Because that's not Lego. This is Lego, right? If somebody built something out of Mega Block and says, oh, look what I built out of my Legos. Okay, that's wrong because that's not Lego. This is Lego. But if a kid is building the Titanic or a set or builds his own mock or whatever out of his Legos, and you say, and the very first thing and the only thing that you say on that post, and he's like so excited about it that he's posting online, if the very first thing and the only thing that you say is Lego, not Legos, first, you're wrong. I have documentation to prove it. But secondly, you are harmful to them. That's not a nice thing. It's a fantastic mock. Oh, by the way, for me, I call it Lego. And, you don't have to. But I think the company would appreciate it if you call it Lego, because we all got that notification from the company that they would appreciate us calling it Lego. But again, in the end, I don't care. Rogers would like us to call that thing the Skydome. I mean, the Rogers Center. Go screw themselves. I will never say it's go screw themselves, the Lego company, because I adore the Lego company. But the Rogers Corporation wants you to call it the Rogers Center. And I say absolutely not. Absolutely, unequivocally, no. I will never call it the Rogers Center when I'm talking about it besides that. I will always call it the Skydome. The end. And Mr. Rogers, God rest his soul, can go screw himself. There's literally nothing that the Rogers company can tell to me to say I have to call it that. I don't see the Rogers Center sending out emails every time somebody calls it the Skydome saying, oh, you can't call it the Skydome. And if they did, I just laugh at it and send it back. But this is the same thing. And people get into semantics about the actual grammar of the situation. Well, the grammar of the situation says you can't just say Lego either. The grammar of the situation, the Lego is not a noun. Lego is a corporation name. And they don't even call themselves Lego. They say the Lego company, because Lego describes what it is. It's the company that makes Legos. It's a Lego company. It's a Lego brick. It's a Lego set. It's a Lego mock. It's a Lego whatever. Lego is the descriptor of the stuff that's in the set, the brick, the mock, whatever. So anybody who just says it's Lego, not Legos, you're patently wrong. But you're also a toxic gatekeeper who doesn't appreciate other people's passions and the way they want to bring it forth. That's it. And again, I just last week, but as I said at the beginning of this, I have to let this go. I got a t-shirt now, not wearing it, but I have a t-shirt now. I have to let this go because in the end, it's not going to change their minds because they're adamant that they're right. I know they're wrong. I know they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. They're 100% wrong. Again, they're so demonstrably wrong. You can call it Lego all you want. I sometimes mostly say Lego. But if I let the occasional Lego slip and the very first thing you say is, oh, it's Lego, not Legos, go screw yourself. Like literally, you're toxic. And you think this is normal. You think diminishing other people's joy of this hobby. When they say Legos, how is that diminishing your appreciation of this hobby? You can call it whatever you want. If somebody else wants to call it Legos, how is that diminishing your hobby? How in any context is that diminishing your appreciation of this hobby? It doesn't diminish mine when somebody says Lego or Legos or whatever. I don't even understand why that has to be your first and only response to these people who are passionate about this hobby. Anyway, I've talked about this enough. It's just one of those things that honestly it drives me crazy, and this is why I'm stopping, because it does drive me crazy. I've always with a sense of justice, I've always stood up against people who diminish other people, and I can't get it. I can't get past the point in my head that when somebody is passionate and happy and joyously enthusiastic about something that they did in this hobby and they post online, which takes a little bit more effort. Like I do lots of things in here that I'm very happy about, what I build and whatever, and I don't have to show off to anybody. So I just, hey, I'm happy. Hey, that's a neat thing, and I just move on to the next thing. But the fact that somebody took the time, again, from 8 to 80, doesn't matter, took the time to post something online that other people can see and say, look at what I did. I'm happy with it. And you got 98% of people, oh, that's fantastic, what a wonderful, great mock, or NPU, whatever it is. And there's one or more people, and they say, it's Lego, not Legos. And that's all they say. And then they run away. It's ring and run, first of all, which is absurd. But secondly, you are diminishing the person who made that. Now, again, I don't know how many people read your comments. I read comments a lot. But I think it's an absurd position. I think it's toxic. I think it diminishes other people. I really do. And people would say, oh, but you're posting about this a lot. Oh, you're diminishing my enthusiasm of the hobby. How? I'm not saying you can't call it Lego. I will never say you shouldn't call it Lego. I think you should. I got it right over there that says you should. Yeah, please should. But again, for me, you're anyway, I said enough. I gotta let go. So anyway, I'm going to ask my close and dear friends to watch me, because I might get, my knickers in a knot when somebody else does it. But I am at that age now where I just have to say WTF and just move on, because it ain't gonna change. It's like fighting the weather. It's honestly, I'm thinking about it in that regard now, that there will always be people who always get angry at the weather, or angry at traffic, or angry at whatever, that you cannot change at all. You can't change the weather. You can't change traffic. Traffic's gonna be traffic. Weather's gonna be weather. The sun's still gonna come up in the morning. So I'm gonna try not to talk about this again. I'm sincerely gonna try not to talk about this again, because it's not gonna change a damn thing. It's not gonna change a damn thing. I'm gonna call it Lego. I'm gonna call it Legos. I'm gonna call it whatever I want. And if somebody takes umbrage with that, that's entirely on them. That's their problem. It's not my problem anymore. It was never been my problem, but it's not my problem, because whatever. So that's it. I had a great couple weeks, going from thing to thing, and I'm going to mention Million Prince. I'm going to get him to do more stuff for me. It's just happening to be here on my desk right now. I want, seriously, everybody out there to stay safe, take care, and I'm going to get back into things. I'm going to clean this room first of all. So that's my next step, is to take care of this unmitigated disaster. So stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.